Yeah, that'll be okay. We'll crank that up a bit. Right, okay. Here we go. I'm going to go straight into this and it'll just happen, mate. Okay,
Sure.
So we have no hairs and graces here. What I tend to do, what we'll do is we'll just record it, we'll edit it, anything later, and so we'll also put it up as a podcast as well on the internet. So there you go.
Okay.
No. Are you ready over there?
Yes.
Right, we're just going to get this going then. Right. Right. 3, 2, 1. Matthew Ford is Castlemead's special guest today. Matthew, welcome to Castlemead Radio.
Thank you.
Now, a lot of listeners and local townsfolk know your name already. I mean, I've heard of you. My mother-in-law has heard of you, and the sort of. But there must be one or two that probably don't know who you are. Now, you're a big band singer, being all over the country, which we will talk about later. But firstly, are you a local lad?
I'm Nuneaton born and bred.
Ah!
Don't throw anything sharp. But we live just outside Hinckley now, Claybrook Magna.
Oh, I know Claybrook very well.
My family's been associated with the Concordia Theatre in Hinckley for 30 plus years.
Now that's interesting you saying that, because I've also had a lot to do with the Concordia Theatre, 20 years of pantomime. Oh yes I did.
Oh no you didn't.
Thank you very much. So I'm sure I would have come across your family at some stage, being involved all those years ago. So what first got you into singing and performing?
Well, I was surrounded by singing in the family. My grandparents on my mum's side were both sort of semi-professional singers, and they were trained classically. And they used to, when they could go around clubs where there was a piano player in those days. That's what they did. They went round and they sang songs for people, and it was always in and around in the house. And then mum and dad, they were both involved with the Concordia.
Yeah.
So it was always sort of there. And then we just, strange I know, but we used to wander the streets singing. And one of my mates said, I can get you into a charity show if you like at the Pavilion in Stockingford.
Right.
And so I did it. And then the entertainment secretary said, well, if you get some gear together, I'll give you some work. And it went from there.
Really went from there. So the Concordia is second home to you, of course, so it must hold a special place in your heart.
Absolutely. I mean, the times that I've been to see my mum and my late father there as well, in shows, and at one point there was, in one of the shows, there was my mum, my dad, my sister, myself and my current wife all on the stage at the same time performing in one of the shows, so it is very special.
Yeah, okay. So how long have you actually been, because obviously it's your profession now, how long have you been professionally doing this then?
I started singing in 1990 when I was 3. And,
was you professional at 3?
I didn't turn fully professional until probably 10 or 12 years ago, I think it was. And touch wood, may that continue, because it's a fabulous job.
When would you consider in your career you sort of, let's say, got your big break to be sort of doing what you're doing now? Was there a particular time when that happened?
Lots of things have happened along the way that you might think would lead to further things.
Yeah.
I did Stars in Their Eyes in 1996.
Right,
and in fact the first thing the producer said to us in the meeting was, don't expect this to be a springboard to stardom, and he was right.
Yeah,
That's right. And then I managed to get the gig with the Sid Lawrence Orchestra,
which I've got notes on here.
As their principal male vocalist, and that was a big break in a way.
So what was that like, working with the, such a well-known orchestra as Sid Lawrence?
It was terrifying, utterly terrifying.
Really?
The first time you stand in front of a big band it is frightening.
Right.
It really is. But then, I did so many gigs with them over the 5 years that I was with them. It's a great learning environment. You can't be underprepared. You have to know all your stuff, and you have to be on the ball all the time.
Right. Okay.
And that's great training. Really is.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure it is. Now, I see that you work regularly with conductor John Wilson.
Yes.
And stuff. And now later this year you're going to be touring with him. When you're working with such names at that, I mean, it must be quite a thing to be working with such names.
Oh, John's a genius. He's a good friend as well, and he puts so much of his heart and soul into what he does. You just have to follow suit. You can't go underprepared. You can't turn up to rehearsals with the CBSO or the Halle or even John's orchestra and be half prepared. So it keeps you sharp all the time, because he doesn't accept anything other than 100%, and perfection.
Of course, of course. Now, I was really fascinated to read earlier on, when I was reading up a little bit about yourself, trying to do a little bit of homework. Now, you've recorded at Abbey Road Studios.
Yes.
Now, come on. I mean, to me, that would be fantastic. To be in a place like that where you know greats have been,
Yeah.
and recorded some historical stuff in the music genre. I mean, how did that feel going into Abbey Road?
Yeah, and it was Studio 2 as well.
Was it really?
All the Beatles did their work.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And it's not changed since they recorded there. All the old curtains are there, the old clocks are on the walls, the old speakers, everything's as it was, because they want to keep that authentic Abbey Road sound. And it has got its own sound, Studio
Really?
2.
Yeah.
But just walking through the front doors, people are queuing up outside just to take photographs of
Well,
the building.
I can believe this because now I found a website for Abbey Road, and there is a live webcam outside which actually looks over the famous pedestrian crossing there. And I guarantee you, no matter what time of day, but particularly at the weekends, it's very busy with predominantly what seem like Japanese tourists standing in the middle of the road with legs astride and their arms astride, and you can watch them for hours. And it's so I can believe what you're saying.
Taxi drivers hate that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you was a taxi driver or a bus driver, you think, oh, if I go down there, I mean, I feel a bit sorry for them because you think, are they going to go? Are they not? Are they not? So there we go. But I mean, absolutely fantastic to to have recorded.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, I went in there 2 or 3 occasions. One to sing live with the orchestra, and then one to do some overdubs, vocal overdubs.
Right.
And I was sort of the last singer of the 5 or 6 on the album to do it in that particular day. So I was in Studio 2 at 11:30 at night on my own, singing into a vintage microphone with a pint of beer by the side of me. It was,
hey, that sounds absolutely.
And it was just a dream come true, Studio 2 Abbey Road.
Does it get much better than that? I'm sure, Now, in 2011, also interested to see that you actually appeared at the Proms.
Yes.
Now, the Proms, I mean, even I know about the Proms, and I'm also knowing I do like a bit of classical music as well. But the Albert Hall obviously is quite something. I mean, where you think that the likes of Sinatra and people like that have graced that stage and stuff, and you look up to see those mushroom things up in the ceiling and stuff, which I've seen and whatnot. How did it feel to be at the Albert Hall?
It was the singular most terrifying moment in my life, walking out onto that stage. We rehearsed. I was working for 3 months towards that gig. Rehearsals with just myself, and then with piano, and with John, and with the orchestra, with the other singers. And, it's like anything. If you trained to the nth degree, you can deliver the goods under pressure, and that was the point. But you stand in what they call the bull run, which is the corridor where they open the doors and then you walk out underneath the audience and through the orchestra. And they said, 5 minutes, Mr. Ford. Fine. I thought, this is great. 3 minutes, Mr. Ford. Okay. And when they got to 1 minute, my knees went.
Oh, wow.
My stomach turned over, and it was terrifying. But you put your smile on and you walk out, and then you do what you've been training for 3 months to deliver.
Wow. Yeah. Absolutely.
But it's a magical thing to say you've done. It's now
Absolutely.
the most popular prom of all.
Yeah.
The John Wilson proms are even more popular than the last night of the Proms in terms of TV viewing audiences.
Yeah, yes. So I did see a little bit of that particular one last time. But one of the last Proms I watched, actually, because Craig Adams, who invited you here today, because we watched Doctor Who at the Proms, which has been featured last couple of years, and it will be back this year, I'm told, that which is, I think it's a great way of getting a younger audience into that sort of environment to enjoy the different styles of music, and what you're doing, absolutely fantastic. Now, I'm leading on to say your next gig, obviously, as we record this. Now, first of all, I do have to confess to our listener that Matthew's out under great duress. You got awful toothache this evening, but I think you're sounding really good to us. We wouldn't know, but I must say that. Now, but I know you said where did you say you were Friday?
Oh, I'm in Croydon.
In Croydon on Friday, but the big one is Saturday here in Hinckley at the Concordia Theatre. Now, do you enjoy playing different sized venues? I mean, considering we've just talked about the Albert Hall, and now we're going to the Concordia Theatre, 400 capacity in there and stuff, and what is it? Do you like the smaller venues, the big venues? Or?
It really does vary. I mean, the Albert Hall's 5,000 seater. Well, 4,000 sitting down and 1,000 standing up. in the Proms. But the Concordia it's intimate and it's warm, and it's a strange thing to say it's a warm venue, but when you walk onto a stage, it's either warm or cold. And you get that feeling from the audience as well, whether they're a warm audience or a cold audience, and it's always a warm audience at the Concordia. And it's great. It's great to sort of come back home and
there is something about that. I would agree with that.
And you think over the years, you know, all the great performers have been on that stage, you know, and all the people who've poured their hearts out in characters and in songs and things like that, and strange as it sounds, it lingers. It does linger. Yes,
I definitely agree. I mean, we've had some great names play there at the Concordia Theatre, and I think that Hinckley should be rightly proud of its theatre, because it is a super place. And every time we get to talk about the Concordia Theatre, I'll always give it a good talk up, because it deserves it. I was involved in lots of things down there for over 20 years and stuff, and it's nothing but the great atmosphere that is then the professionalism of it, you know, is absolutely super. Now then, I want to talk about some of your music actually now, and that's now some of the albums you've released. Just for the benefit of our listeners, I noticed you've got an album called Portrait. I'm in the mood I'm in, and The Other Side of the Tracks is another one you've done and stuff. And the final album, Something Else. Is there any particular favourite songs you enjoy singing off those albums? I mean, I know that being a musician and singing, you know, obviously a lot of songs you like. Is there any particular special ones you like to perform?
Well, we recorded. I signed the deal with Diving Duck in 2006, and we recorded with a 9-piece band and a string section. Then an album with a 9-piece on its own, which was on the other side of the tracks. But this latest album, Portrait, is a recording of what we've been delivering live with the quartet show, and it's a great pleasure to do those songs, because they're songs we've worked on together as a quartet, and they've sort of developed along the way within the bounds of their arrangements. So songs like My Love Went to London, or All My Tomorrows, which we put on the album, and I Will Wait for You.
Right.
Michel Legrand tune. I mean, they're beautiful tunes, and it was just the creation of that album was such a pleasure. You know, it's those would be the standout ones, I think. Yeah.
Okay. So in a bit I can feature one of those for you. You'd be quite happy for that. That's not a problem. So now, you say people want to say somebody said I want to buy one of those albums. Where's the best place they can actually go
to get them? Everywhere. You can get them from Amazon. You can get them from Tesco.com and all those places. But probably the best or the cheapest would be jazzcds.co.uk.
Right, and that'd be on there. Yeah.
Or they can go to my website and just follow the link.
Of course. Yes, of course, you can do that as well. Now, so as we come towards the end of this chat, and I've really enjoyed this, Matthew. I mean, is there still a dream or goal you'd like to achieve at the moment? Is there something you think I'd just like to do that? I'd like to play Vegas, for example. I mean, I know that, but do you know what I mean? Is there something there which you think I'd really like to do?
It's funny. I took on a manager last year, Tom Croxon, and he said, "Well, what are your targets? What are your aims? You know, where do you want to be?" And I said, "Well, I'm not one of these singers that has a grand plan. You know, I've sort of not bumbled along from one thing to the next, but things have happened. The Sid Lawrence Orchestra happened, right place at the right time, and then the Proms happened, I suppose right place at the right time again. So a lot of my ambitions have been fulfilled, but I would love to record a James Bond theme. That is the pie in the sky one.
Yeah,
I would love
to
do that. I can't see that happening because they use more pop artists now, but if they ever went back to sort of the 50s and 60s style, that would just be a dream.
Wouldn't it just? And wouldn't it be great if they heard this podcast first and they said, that's the guy we need, that's the guy we need.
Absolutely.
So have you got any more immediate plans for the future? I mean, you just said bumbling along and stuff. Is there anything sort of on the horizon
there's so much to prepare for at the moment. I mean, next month I'm with John Wilson performing the prom programme that he did last year over in Dublin with the RTE Concert Orchestra, and there's some heavy duty things to learn for that.
Right.
I then fly back straight to Birmingham and go to the Town Hall, where I'm recording a big band special for Radio 2 with the BBC Big Band.
Yep.
That's a tribute to Woody Herman. There's some pretty tricky learning for that as well.
Right.
Then I'm away with Nick Ross, his orchestra, for 4 or 5 days up north. And then we get into June and July. I've got the Harrogate Festival with John. It's a Sinatra programme in at the end of July, and then we've got the Aldborough Festival at the 1st of August, and that's a Sinatra programme, and then it'll be preparing for the tour.
Wow.
Obviously my annual concert at Bedworth.
Of course, yeah.
Into November and December, and then I've got a gig with believe it or not, a gig with the Halle. Having just said about the James Bond, it's a James Bond concert with the Halle Orchestra in Manchester. That's at the end of December, so there'll be some stuff.
So it sounds like you're pretty busy, certainly for the coming months, if not for the few years at this
It's
rate.
okay, I'm lucky that.
Do you get time? Do you manage to get a bit of time for yourself?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love golf. Play lots of
golf. You're a golf man,
yes.
right? Okay.
For my sins, but. I mean, people have said to me, well, surely you never see your children, you never see your wife, but doing the job I do, it's mainly weekend work. I mean, there's a lot of midweek work at the moment, but it's mainly weekend work. So I get to get up and get the kids to school and collect them from school and take them to their tennis and gymnastics and whatever else they do after school, and spend a lot more time with them than I would if I had a 9-to-5 job. So I'm lucky at both ends, really.
That's
but,
really
yes,
good.
they came to bed. They were at the Albert Hall as well, so they did come along. Yeah.
Okay, and just for the benefit of our listener who wonder what the little voice is in the background, that's Craig's mum, Christine, doing a sideline interview there. Anyway, Matthew, it's been great meeting you, and I've heard a lot about you, and I know a lot more about you now. Thank you very much for taking the time to come up to Castlemere Radio, and given, I really hope that your toothache is all calmed down, ready for your next gig, because it's one thing I won't tolerate is toothache. I hate it. I don't think anybody likes it.
No.
You can't get away from it. So thank you very much for coming to Castlemere Radio, and we wish you all the very best for the future.
And the same to you, thank you.
Job done.
Super.
Excellent. That was great. Thank you.
Cheers,
It was really great.
Let's get some photos.